over 100 hours of water outages will affect Johannesburg, Pretoria and Ekurhuleni this week as Rand Water enters its final week of maintenance and upgrades to maintain water systems in Gauteng at large. The metro is also facing challenges of water losses following the release of that 2023 no-drop report, of course looking at the 2021-2022 period by the Department of Water and Sanitation. So Benoit le Roy, SA Water Chamber CEO, is going to be joining us for that discussion. Benoit, good morning. Thanks for your time with the SABC at this hour.
Morning, Liesl, and to the viewers in what's going to be an exciting day. Maybe waterless, but definitely good rugby coming up. Looking forward to it.
Rugby and Olympics. Let's look at the bright side of life. Alas, continuing with the issue at hand and really just looking at those upgrades. How satisfied are you with the upgrades this far, from the beginning phases perhaps until now, given the reality on the ground that have been faced by many residents? Some haven't been spared the frustration of being left without water for days on end.
Yes. I think it's important to contextualize where the issues lie. So with Rand Water having to catch up on its maintenance, rejuvenation, extensions for the new water that will be coming in 2028 from Lesotho, it has to interrupt the supply for certain periods of time. And generally speaking, it's not an issue if your assets on the distribution, so read Ekurhuleni, Joburg, Tshwane metros, if those assets are up to speed, which they are not. So for 30 years, we've allowed them to deteriorate, but we've also, and the no-drop report shows that very clearly. So what's happening is the Rand Water work is in actual fact highlighting the deficiencies in the municipal distribution system. So those systems are being fed 100% plus by Rand Water at the moment. It's 100% plus, it's more than its water use license to try and fill up, but the bucket is leaking so much, the more it pumps, the more it leaks. So before the maintenance, we're in the middle of winter and the demand is still the same as last summer, last winter and last summer, which shows that the bucket is leaking profusely. Now what happens is, and the reservoirs before the maintenance have been running steadily in Joburg, for example, at 30 to 40%. They should be 60 to 80%. If you add the 30 to 40% report in the no drop in the physical leaks, you would get to that number. So the problem lies with the metros. I'm not saying that the bulk water service provider Rand Water doesn't have issues, but they're trying to do the right thing. What the metros haven't done for 30 years is now surfacing. And what we need to do is, it's not a blame game, it's a matter of where the issue lies, and we need to get this whole issue depoliticized so that we can address it. We need 26 to 30 billion rand just for Johannesburg for the water distribution to be recapitalized. And the city can't do that. It has 49 billion in debt. So we have to do it. There are instruments to do that. And this is what we've worked on, on the private sector, working with the public sector. But local government's independent and it's busy with its politics as opposed to sorting out its basic services. So we have to fix the issue. We have the technology. We know where the issues are, but the cities need to come clean. And all the cities, Cape Town has 29% non-revenue water since day zero. It was at 15 before that. So it's a national issue, so we need to sort it out. And there's a common thread in all of this.
Well, thank you for speaking to the issue at hand, because, you're saying it's not a blame game and this issue has now become politicized. And I actually wanted to then delve into, the issues at large, because, again, as you alluded to, it's not Johannesburg alone that is facing water issues. The city's water security strategy that was unveiled on the 26th of March 2024, it was followed by the Climate Action Plan. And if we're going to look at its feasibility and the gaps that still pervade from that, from your vantage point, having access to clean and safe water, being a fundamental human right, is this plan adequate enough at this point?
It's a plan, it's a talk shop, it's not a workshop, it's not being implemented. And then I'll single out eThekwini and City Cape Town are busy implementing their plans. The metros in Gauteng are not. We do not see that. And they don't, because they don't have the money and they don't have the political acumen to admit the failures and get going with it. And we are 3 to 5 years before any work starts because the tenders haven't even gone out, and whether they're going to be public-private partnerships or not, etc. These are all debates ongoing. There is nothing happening, and that's the reality. So it can only get worse. And this is the frustrating part, because there's a huge economic multiplier between 4 to 8 times, according to the United Nations. So for every billion rand we spend, there's between 4 and 8 billion rand of economic stimulation in the economy. So we need, we really need to get going. Plans are plans. We've had a national water strategy since 2018 that we pushed very hard from the private sector to get in. We've got it. And we've only tabled just over 100 billion of the 900 billion, which is well over R1 trillion now in 2024 money. But that's bulk water work. We need to do the municipal distribution work. There is no water security issue from a supply perspective. We are, as a water scarce country, we've got enough water at the moment. It's touch and go, but we are leaking 30 to 40% of it. That's the issue. And it's the only issue at hand, apart from the pollution that we have, which will affect our food security, but that's a different discussion. So we have these benchmarks. You know, the drop reports were all hidden for nearly 8 or 9 years because it was bad news. That's been tabled. So we've got it all now. It's a matter of getting stuck, into the work. And, strategies are nice, but, let's implement them, because the sector is not seeing this being done at all. When I say zero in these metros, and we need to do it. So hopefully we can gain the exposure, but also I think society needs to be better armed with, who does bulk, who does the reserves, so the dams, and who does the distribution. And those are three different spheres of government, So it's national, it's the state-owned enterprises, the water utilities, and then it's the city. So it's quite complex, whereas in the rest of the world it's very simple. It's from reserve to tap. So you deal with one utility. So we have a complex architecture that I believe we need to look at also.
I wonder at this point then if it has reached crisis level. I was doing some reading where, according to Treasury, we should be using about 60% of the cost of the asset for maintenance, and we haven't even spent 2%. And so it's obvious that we haven't done enough. And the issue of leadership also coming into the fore. There have been calls for the mayor to step down, given the mammoth issues that the city is facing at large, infrastructure, service delivery as well. How would you like to weigh in on what you're observing in relation to all of that unfolding as well?
It's always a leadership issue, because if leadership's good, these things get forced down, and then the society pushes up and we manage to get them done. So we have a critical leadership issue, and we see a lot of the state officials in the three spheres of government not allowed to carry on. I've said it early on in the week. If the boardroom is fighting in a company, the senior management cannot carry on, and we have exactly that situation. So it's a 99.9% political problem, and and we can see it doesn't matter which political party. It's a political issue where people are fighting for political control as opposed to servicing us. We're paying for all of this. So, I think it's an evolutionary thing. We're grappling with democracy. We're grappling with inclusivity. And these things have left, but also a lot of Treasury's money is being returned back to National Treasury because there isn't the capacity to actually implement a lot of the work. So we have institutional issues, and there are solutions to that. So it's multifaceted. So it's very complex. So, we need the best minds to do this. And unfortunately, in the leadership, I say it with zero respect, we don't have the best minds. And, we need to change that, but, it's up to us. Only we can do that. And I think we're starting to see society mobilizing to try and force the leadership to change their ways. So it's not all bad news, but there's some huge economic wins when we can get started.
Well, you're speaking about the issue being multifaceted, and also wanted to look at wastewater treatment works, where about 70% are regarded as critical or in a concerning state. And I ultimately want to then look at what this means, given that there are higher levels of sewer flowing into rivers, streets, ecosystems at large. If we're also looking at the overall impact of climate change as well. Talk to us about that, combined with your aging infrastructure, mismanagement, corruption at large.
So the water distribution systems are pretty in a pretty bad state. We know that about 50% to 75% in the metros has to be replaced immediately, not in 5 years or 10 years. They've way past their 50 to 75-year life. We've seen China over 113 years. So that philosophy of the way we mistreat our assets is exactly the same in sewage. The difference is that food security, not all our crops are in actual fact irrigated, but a lot of the crops are. And roughly 60 to 70% of our water is used. If you take non-revenue water out, you see it's 70 to 80% of our water is actually used for food production. So that's from agriculture right through the processing stages and the distribution stages. So the water footprint globally is about 93 to 94%. In South Africa is in the middle of that. So by poisoning our water resources, we're in actual fact going to cause health issues, food security issues. We export about a third of our food production. So we need to address that. And that crisis is as serious as not having water in the towns, because polluted water for agriculture is also, as useless. So it's an extremely dire situation, and it's also an opportunity to leapfrog the old technology that we have that was sound 30 years ago, 40 years ago, to the newer technology. It's not replacing, it's upgrading, and we can treat all of the emerging contaminants, etc. We can digitize all of this so that we can manage in real time. Don't wait a year for no drop, blue drop, green drop report. We can do it instantaneously, and that way we can, bridge the trust deficit that we have, where we have real live information to get everybody up to speed. So we have this crisis. It is a crisis. We mustn't skirt around these problems, and the challenge is how we're going to sort it out. We need to sort it out, and I think by bringing exposure through the media, etc., we're going to be better equipped.
Well, Benoit, thank you for your time at this hour. Let's leave that conversation there and, of course, continue to monitor developments. Benoit le Roy, SA Water Chamber CEO, weighing in. This is the final phase of maintenance for water systems in Gauteng gets underway.